All right, KeeN gets the fangirl screams. This guy is one of the best we've ever had in StarCraft 2. He hasn't looked as strong in Heart of the Swarm. He's 3-8 all-time in Pro League, and you might be saying, you know, what's up with his recent results? He's 0-2 versus Zerg, and he's 1-4 in his last 5 games. Really, we don't know. He's not been on point, and he's been taking, I think, a few too many risks in some of his games. He's being a bit too aggressive in the early game, and it's come back to bite him.
I have to agree. I mean, what we said a lot about this guy earlier on was that he's one of the most inconsistent players in Pro League, in StarCraft 2 in general, and it just, once he got into the slump, it's like almost like he just tried to do too much. Yeah. Like every single game he played, he was just like trying to do too much, and he would make mistakes, and that would lose them the games, and it's just unfortunate. But I think he's going to show a good game here.
Yeah, I think so. Now up against Hydra, Hydra's 5-9. He had a really rough start. Did recently play in Code S, and he's a really good player. In my opinion, he's definitely at the second tier of Zerg players like in the world. You know, if you put Zerg players on like 5 tiers or something, he would be on tier 2. Like, he's not at the best of the world right now, but he's trying to get there. He's very timing oriented. We're going into game 2 right now. KeeN versus Hydra on merry-go-round.
Down here in the south, in the teal for MVP, the Terran player, it is KeeN.
And up here, the top left in yellow, timing attack-oriented player here. Almost said Protoss. It's the Zerg player, Hydra.
Yeah. When you look at his blue shirt, you might get confused.
Yeah. Well, he's not played so many ZVTs, actually, because we have a bit of a lack of Terrans right now in Korea, although we've seen 2 already today. MVP is the best.
It says cheer with a loud sound, literally.
Make loud sounds. And says coming up, she came today again to cheer for CJ.
Yeah.
So she's staying
definitely
consistent.
Wasn't here. Definitely wasn't here on Sunday cheering for any other teams.
No, definitely not the case that she was designated to sit there on that side or anything either.
She's 100% CJ fan.
Real fan. Hit me with her hoodie earlier. I'm touched.
Wait, which one was it that hit you with the hoodie? Left or right?
Okay. Left, our left, like the left side of the screen.
Like which of the 2 on the left?
The most left.
Okay.
Like the leftist.
The leftist one?
Yeah, the leftist one.
Not the most leftist?
No, just the leftist.
Okay.
Not the rightist, just the leftist. The far left, as they say. Yeah. I think that's a technical term.
I think that's the literal, or maybe the figurative way to say it.
Could be philosophical, but yeah. So, Hydra, a player who in ZVZ often hits Roach speed timings with +1 attack, sometimes Roach bailing, you know, weird attacks like that. And when he plays against Protoss, he usually stays Roach Hydra the whole game. He's constantly attacking the Protoss player's third base. And sometimes the success of his strategy hinges on how much damage the Protoss was able to do to him early on, whether or not he harassed and messed up his timing with Phoenixes or did like a Zealot harass at the third base. But in this matchup, I feel like he might just try to play standard Ling Muta Baneling against KeeN and play defensively, because KeeN's usually the aggressor in this matchup. He's like, he's going to just be like, here we go, with his Hellions just run in without even really checking what's there.
I think Hydra, he knows the type of player KeeN is. He's going to be aggressive, and if you play against one of these players, as long as you hold off all the aggression and force them to make mistakes, you can get a huge advantage, and from there, do whatever you want. If you want to be aggressive, follow up with a nice timing attack after you defend, can definitely work in that. If you want to take another base, pick the Artosis route, go super macro in that, you can do that as well. And like you were saying, I think Hydra just has to defend here in the beginning. The thing that would have surprised me the most, actually, is if KeeN just, you know, backs off, maybe just, like, doesn't put the aggression on, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either. He's going to do something. And, you know, consider this. He only made 2 Reapers, so it's not going to be that heavy Reaper Hellion type of play that you see the attack on the third base hit with, where he just makes a ton of Hellions, and then KeeN's a type who tries to run into the main. I don't think we're going to see that out of him. Hydra wouldn't surprise me at all if he went for like a big Roach attack either, to be honest. I mean, he does things like this. Maybe he goes 2-base Spire. We just don't see as many ZVTs out of him as we do the other matchups, so it's hard to stylistically point out what he would normally do in this case.
That'd be interesting if we saw like some kind of suit play, like we saw in the global tournament at GSL, where he was just like, "Nah, I'll just make a bunch of Roaches and kill you. It'll be fine." Like, I'm not gonna play standard.
Well, a lot of damage done to that Queen, but without 3 Reapers, he's not able to kill it. And he's even going to come up here and poke again. The Zerglings are turning around here. Might be able to trap this Reaper. Doesn't get that drone. Doesn't get the Reaper.
Finishes, though, and he's going to be on the chase here. And the Reapers are going to jump up, but the Zerglings are ready for it. And now KeeN's going to have to micro these as well as possible to try to keep him alive. He's doing really well so far, actually. Killing 3 Zerglings, staying alive.
Don't go down there, KeeN. Yeah, okay.
Oh, man.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, the thing is, guys, normally this type of micro does not succeed like this. It uses the terrain of the map. You know, somebody at home is going, well, he killed 3 Zerglings. That's like no money. But just keep in mind, this type of micro is actually quite incredible. And now he's going to try to find his way in here, see if the third base is up. And in fact, it is. Playing against Hydra, not a bad choice to check for that.
Yeah, 2 Zerglings now getting into the natural. That little guy is not going to get into the main as much as he does want to, but he does scout that the third CC is going up for KeeN as well. And actually, KeeN, you know, he did very nicely with the micro, but with the speed out, I'm not sure how much damage this harass is going to do. He's made 4 Hellions so far, making 2 at a time as well back at home and getting the stim up. May just stop at 6.
Yeah, he may. There's not enough to really damage this hatchery critically. But of course he's going to poke and try to get these units out of position while he goes into the main base, sees the lair timing, sees all the gases mining, and he knows exactly what he's up against as a result. Oh! That hurts losing the Reaper, but it's probably going to lose it no matter what. Doesn't see the Spire, but you can reasonably expect that that's what's coming next without seeing a Roach Warren. Yeah,
KeeN has pretty much seen everything that he wanted to. He wanted to see if the lair was coming up, see where it was at, see where the third base is at, try to do some poke damage here with the Queens. He's going to come back over here with these 2 extra Hellions, keep poking at that, and then we're going to see the Queen versus Hellion micro we always get to see.
Especially with KeeN, and he targets down the Queen with the most energy so the other Queens can't transfuse her. She goes down to 39 health, but will escape, you know, unkilled. And so far, Hydra has been relatively unscathed by this harassment. He's making a big wave of drones. He did get double evolution chambers. We didn't really touch on that. So he's going to be going into that standard play that I was really hoping we were going to get to see from him. KeeN, on the other hand, has his upgrades already started and is going into that starport to get his medevacs out, additional barracks. I mean, I'm guessing that in a few minutes we're going to see that Baneling Nest drop down too to stop any sort of KeeN aggression from doing too much damage when he moves out across the map. This map is, in fact, pretty big. For compared to some of our other Pro League maps.
It's a long distance to get all the way across the map, but hold that thought. A lot of Zerglings coming in here. The supply depots were down at the front and going to start doing a lot of damage to these SCVs. They're going to have to run away back to these Hellions, but those could get surrounded as well, these Zerglings with speed. But no, it just doesn't look like it's enough Zerglings. They are going to have to back off.
Yeah, with the funny thing is with those SCVs there, he kind of had the situation where the SCVs could have buffered just for a second to clean up those Zerglings, so he couldn't really stick around. This Overlord spread on both bases is really a pain, in fact, right now, and this means that this third base is kind of just awkwardly floating right now. Looks like he's going to take it over to the left side instead of taking the third base to the right, which I think is the correct choice in this case, because with this he will be able to defend and attack much faster towards Hydra's base. Speaking of Hydra, here come those Mutalisks.
Yeah, trying to make a missile turret next to the production buildings, but it does not get up. You know, just these 5 meters already starting to do some harass damage. Could have poked at that CC, but knows the Marines are on the way. Has to be careful and bring them back. Does not want to lose these Mutas. You know, Mutas, as you get more, they get stronger. And doesn't want to lose it to doing some superficial harass, not doing too much damage. So he's just going to bring it back home.
Yeah, I like how you described that, because, I mean, really, damaging a command center just once like that would not really be worth it. Got to be careful with them here, too. Better not turn around to kill those weak Marines at the front. That's just too much firepower back there. Notice that KeeN also knows that this is kind of a bait tactic. He doesn't even stim. Now he does as the Zergling's coming, and this is a good way to engage this. Now, if he could target down those medevacs, that would be huge.
He's trying to target down these mutas, and he did get a couple of them, and now he's going to lift off and go away. KeeN bringing his Hellions back here. The Baneling speed is not done. Snipe some of those guys as well. Yeah,
those Banelings are actually getting picked off here. And KeeN is bringing his A game into this match. I'm really liking this. The target on the mutas was incredible. That's not easy to do in a situation like this, and that's what made it okay for him to trade like that. Keeps the medevacs alive as well. They do their job, and the Marines were in this tight ball. If he had a few Banelings over there, or Baneling speed, more notably, I think he would have been okay with that fight, but losing all those mutas hurts him quite a bit. And now KeeN has this uncontested force that's coming across the map. Mutalisks have to be remade, because if he doesn't remake Mutalisks, then the units can just lift up in the medevacs and run away after they do their damage.
He's going to go for a counterattack here as KeeN was coming around, but it's just too many Marines at this moment. Going to be pushed back again. You know
this creep, man, not to cut you off there, is starting to get pretty close.
Yeah. And one thing you were saying before about the third base there in location for KeeN, it is really good because he can just get right over there and start clearing it right away. It's so close to his third base. That's where he's going to be rallying his units. And if his third base is over there to the east, he would be so spread out and we'd be having a lot more trouble with these mutas so far.
I've gotten a lot of tweets about this. If you guys look on the minimap, you can see his white blobs. They're actually the changelings. It's a bug that we have on some of our maps for some reason. I'm not sure why that happens. But, you know, it's just a bug, and those are changelings, in fact, so fear not if you see that on your mini-map. I know that this happened like probably once or twice before. Just want to clarify that for people. Now, this army here is still kind of stuck back. He's forced to defend constantly. As a Terran player, you usually want to be forcing the defense on the Zerg. So now he's starting to move out here a little bit, but this creep slows him down so incredibly much.
Yeah. He's just got to continuously come out here, clear creep, back off, and the creep gets spread once again. Hydra's just on top of that so far. He's been doing a good job defending at that fourth base as well. It's going to be so hard for KeeN to go over there with the way Hydra is defending right now. KeeN is sending a couple of medevacs towards the north now. They're going to go all the way around, try to go undetected of these mutas.
Yeah, and I mean, just poking around here now with this medevac, I think... I mean, he's got a lift. He sees the Overlord. I mean, rather, he's got a drop. He sees the Overlord. Not going to be able to turn around there. Now, this attack over here is really dangerously close to this fourth base. A bit surprised Hydra decided to take this one rather than taking the base to the right side, which is much further away. And KeeN wants to make quick work of that.
He's starting to go over there. A couple Banelings hit on some of those Marines, but he is going to be boosted away and dropped off. He's going to drop those again to try to get those mutas back, but hold that thought. Tons of Banelings and Zerglings are rolling in right now. The splits are pretty decent, and they're on the bottom of the ramp. Did not want to go off creep there. I think a good decision by Hydra.
Yeah, doesn't want to go off creep, doesn't want to go down into a concave at the bottom of that ramp. That could have been disastrous. So safe play there to just back off. He has a lot more Banelings on the way, 28 in fact. That's going to put him up to like 70 Banelings or so. That's a lot. When you have this many Banelings, you can afford to just trade them like this against bunkers and just really start to be very hyper-aggressive with them. And he's built up a decent gas bank as well, nearly 400 right now. So I don't want to say the Banelings are expendable, but you can always make them do something when you have this many of them.
Yeah. Both players using the different pathways on this map very nicely, but here we go. The Banelings are rolling in once again. The splits are decent, running back, trying to have the Thor's tank, and doing a decent job so far. Good splits again. Wow.
KeeN splitting very well here, but eventually the Banelings do start to connect. The question is really who got the better trade there, because that was a lot more expensive for Hydra, but at the same time he has the gas bank. I was talking about to remake those Banelings, 24 in production right now, and a few more Zerglings coming out as well so that he can make even more Banelings, because he's really limited by his Zergling count at this point, more so than he is by his gas. He's out of larva, so he spent all of his larva and all of his resources after this, so that's something to keep in mind too. And KeeN is getting closer and closer to that 3-3 upgrade range. Once he has those 3-3 upgrades, his army is going to be so much more effective than it is right now.
Yeah, we're seeing some interesting play out of Hydra here. He's playing like true in the ZVT matchup. He's making so many Banelings, not so many mutas. He's sticking at about 6 to 7. I think he had 8 earlier on, and he's just using all of his gas in the Banelings and having a ton of Zerglings, trying to control this map so well. And I like it. It's great for where these guys are in the positions on the map. Both their bases very close. Banelings rolling in once again.
This time a lot of Zerglings to support as well. He wants to get in there and surround this army before the splits can happen. And actually sends the Banelings over here to this base, but a good lift and great pull here. So the Banelings don't even really want to connect to anything. They don't want to hit that bunker. It's not worth it. That's very expensive. And I feel like the situation for KeeN here, as long as he can secure this base again, is still okay. He's down in supply, but he's got the type of army that's a bit scrappier, a little bit easier to remake right now.
Yeah. Muta's coming back here. That missile turret was taken down. It's going to have to be rebuilt, trying to get some more harass damage down. Unfortunately, not able to. The army is there.
Yeah, and let's see. I mean, he's making more Banelings. This time getting a few more Mutas out, in fact. Adding 8 more to put him up to 15. And I think he's just starting to realize, like, you know what? If you keep lifting this base like this, if I have enough Mutas, I'm just going to kill that. And then what do you have? Because you're still on 3 bases. And I'm looking to take the rest of the map after I continue to contain you like this.
The Banelings and the Lings are north, and the Mutas are coming from the west, trying to come in here, leading with the Banelings, attacking with the Mutas at the 3rd base at the same time. Decent splits out of KeeN, but it's just not that much Terran army here.
Yeah, it looks like he might have enough, though, to push these Mutas back. Thing is, he's lost a lot of SCVs this time, and he's already at a deficit in income, so losing these SCVs kind of hurts him. But it's really more of an issue of him needing to take a 4th base. This army, though, with no Banelings to contest it, is going to go over here and maybe snipe the 4th of Hydra. Here come Lings to help, and a lot of these units are so low. Those Marines are so low on health right now. That's why the Lings are able to rip through here.
They're ripping through, and the Banelings that were not ready are made now, and they are going to demolish what's left of this Terran army. And now they're on the run with Banelings with speed and great upgrades on the chase.
Yep, killing the last of these medevacs as well. And this base is going to have to maybe lift for the last time as it's now being targeted. Even targets with the Banelings to make sure he gets it for sure. And these SCVs are just awkwardly placed over there, getting taken out one by one. And KeeN scans. He's like, you're doing this without a 5th or a 6th base? No bases to the north? And he just types out. That's that hyper-aggression, that true style. I like that you mentioned that earlier. That we've seen before, but being used by Hydra, somebody who's so used to being on so low economy and making his units work. Very impressive play.
I loved it, especially in the locations that they were, especially with KeeN. Hydra almost forced him to take that 3rd base. We were talking about how that's good for the Terran, but Hydra just used it against him. He was spreading the creep right to the doorstep of his base and just coming from all the different angles with the Banelings. And eventually, he just cut out so much production, delayed a lot of mining at the 3rd base with the Lings and the Banelings, even the Mutas at times. And it was just not enough for KeeN to keep up.
Yeah, he couldn't keep up, and just really started to wear on him on those 3 bases. The 3rd base was taken a little bit late as well because he had that goop, that little Overlord creep spread over there on both bases, in fact. So he went to the right side, it was there, then had to fly to the left side, it was there too. Rough game for KeeN, but definitely well played. Definitely some good moments for him in that game. He never overextended.